Okay, thank you. I'm Dr. Setsoafia, and I'm presenting on the topic, the effects of sustainable agricultural practices on food security of smallholder farmers in northern Ghana. I'm a PhD student in Lincoln University. This will be the order of my presentation. I'll start with the background and go through the methodology and end with conclusions and policy implications. The UN General Assembly formed the Brundtland Commission, and this commission published the book Our Common Future in 1987. In that book, they said that the main drivers for the discussion on sustainable development is economic crisis, probably like what we are experiencing now, poverty, growth, and survival. To be able to understand this phenomenon, they define sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable development has received a lot of attention in recent years because of the replacement of the Millennium Development Goals for Sustainable Development Goals in 2015. And this came about because generally there has been high population growth and economic growth, particularly in developing countries. This has resulted in pressure on the limited natural resources since they are used to produce basic necessities such as food, clothing, and shelter. To meet the demand, there has been a plethora of agricultural innovations, such as the Green Revolution, and so on and so forth. These increase productivity, but they usually leave in their wake environmental degradation. So the problem is, how do we enhance agricultural productivity without destroying our environment? And the solution most experts have espoused is sustainable agricultural practices. These practices are not new. In fact, in Africa or in Ghana, some are already being practiced, such as crop rotations, agroforestry, and mixed farming systems. Our study focuses on Ghana. In Ghana, agriculture is the mainstay of the rural population, employing about 42% of the population. Our study area is specifically northern Ghana. And this area, even though it contributes significantly to the national food basket, is also riddled with issues of climate variability, which usually results in low seasonal output and in fact results in high levels of poverty and food insecurity in the area. To be able to reduce this, there have been a lot of interventions by NGOs. One of such NGOs is the IITA, which implemented the Africa Rising Project. And the goal of that project is to teach farmers sustainable agricultural practices with the hope of improving their overall welfare. When we search research, we found that there was limited information on the simultaneous adoption of SAPS in Ghana, in Africa. And where we found the simultaneous adoption, we found that most of the studies were carried out in Eastern and Southern African countries. And if you know the differences in the agro-climatic conditions in Eastern and Southern African countries, you realize that it's very different from what we have in West Africa, where we can find Ghana. And most of these studies also focus on the impact of SAPS on other proxies of welfare rather than food security. In Ghana, where agriculture is practiced mainly on subsistence basis, a farmer usually will not sell his product unless he needs cash. So capturing food security rather than expenditure per capita will show a better picture of the impact of SAPS on the welfare of farmers. So to do this, our study has the objective of determining the factors that influence the adoption of SAPS by farmers and to estimate the impact of adoption on the food security of farmers. We used baseline survey data from the African Rising Project, which covered 1,284 households. We also used the multinomial endogenous Bayesian regression to correct for selection bias. And this model comes in two stages. In the first stage, we modeled the decision to adopt the different combinations of SAPS using a multinomial logic. And this is specified using equation 1, sorry. And here we modeled the different options, and the X here are household characteristics, plot characteristics, and location characteristics. The SAPS we focused on are improved seeds, fertilizer, and soil and water conservation practices. And the various combinations is, we got 8 possible combinations. And this is what we tested. In the second stage, we use the OLS to estimate the impact of adoption on food security. And the estimate from the OLS was used to compute average treatment effect, which is defined as the difference between adopters with adoption and adopters had they decided not to adopt. And this is shown in equation 5 here. These are the summary statistics of the variables that we used in our model. Here, age, you see the mean age of the household head as 47, and the mean household size as 8.5, but we can't say 8.5, so let's say 8. So for our outcome variables, which is food security, we used 3 measures. We used number of months the household experienced shortage in the past 18 months. We used the reduced coping strategy index, and then we used the household dietary diversity index. So with the number of months they experienced food shortage in the past 18 months, we found the mean number of months to be 2. And then with the reduced coping strategy index, we got a score which ranged from 0 to 77. And with the household dietary index, we got a score that ranged between 1 to 12. I must add that our study found that over the whole sample, 35% recorded low to moderate food insecurity, and 4% recorded severe food insecurity. Even though we set out with 8 possible combinations, we ended up with 6. With the option of improved seed only, we didn't get any of our sample, our respondents being in that using that category. Also, we got options for improved seeds and fertilizer and improved seed and soil and water conservation, not up to 30. The values were lower, so we decided to combine them so that we can analyze them statistically. The option of adopting all the SAPS, we had only 7.17% of our population, of our sample, adopting all the SAPS. For the factors that influence adoption, we found that household size positively influenced the adoption of all the SAPS. And this could be because of the labor implications that goes with some of the SAPS. In northern Ghana, households usually rely on family labor to do most farm work. We also found that education positively influenced the adoption of the improved seed and the fertilizer option. For all farm income, we realized that farmers who had extra income were more likely to adopt the all SAPS category, as well as the fertilizer and soil water conservation category. We found that households that were satisfied with the quality of their extension were also more likely to adopt all the SAPS combination. Plot level characteristics such as the type of soil also influenced adoption, with households having clay soils adopting all the SAP categories as shown here. We found that being a member of an FBO, in this case, the project FBO, African Rising Project, also positively influenced the adoption of almost all the combinations of SAPS positively. And having access to extension also influenced the adoption of all the SAPS, particularly the comprehensive package. Then we go on to find the effects of SAPS on food security. Bear in mind that the number of months a household experiences food shortage is a measure of food insecurity, just as the reduced coping strategy. So we are expecting that households that adopt SAPS will have a negative score here. And that's what we got. We got households adopting all the SAPS, reducing the number of months they experienced food shortage by -1.37. And here we can say that adopters are better off with the adoption of the SAPS because they reduce the number of months they could have experienced food shortage. And here too, you can see that adopting all the SAPS got the biggest gains. The same can be said for the reduced coping strategy index. Also, those who, even though overall there was a negative score, meaning that they didn't have to cope so much, it showed here that those who adopted all the SAPS also didn't have to do so much work. So they got a smaller reduced coping strategy index score. And with the household dietary diversity score, those who adopted all the SAPS also got the highest score in terms of dietary diversity. So they are better off, adopters were better off because they adopted. In conclusion, we found that household characteristics, plot characteristics, and location characteristics influence the adoption of SAPS. And we also found that SAP adoption had a positive impact on the household's food security, with those adopting the comprehensive package obtaining the biggest gains. Therefore, we advocate for policies that improve extension agent to farmer ratio, since it positively influenced the adoption of SAPS. Also, farmer groups should be established or strengthened, since it enhances the dissemination of information regarding SAPS. And policies that seek to improve farmers' food security should advocate for the comprehensive adoption of SAPS and give incentives to motivate the adoption of all the SAP packages. Thank you.